Jesvik, here's a look at some of the stories we'll be talking about in our second half hour.
One SU professor has turned a hobby into a lifestyle while juggling his daily life responsibilities.
Our Robert Bruin tells us more about his journey.
Syracuse professor Ulf Osterley competes in triathlons across the map and seems to have become one of the best in the country while fighting his physical challenges. 42 years of age, Ulf is training for a triathlon, which is no easy task. Running, swimming, and cycling while being timed is no walk in the park, but Ulf had other challenges that couldn't stop him.
So I've always had one hand, and it's really all I know, and I've learned how to do everything with one.
Ulf trains 4 to 5 days a week. Sometimes his light days aren't exactly that.
Going out for a bike ride that's 112 miles. You might be on the bike 5, 6, 7 hours, depending on how fast you are.
The triathlons are worldwide. Ulf began competing in 2010 when Ironman came to Syracuse, but his introduction wasn't your average situation.
Ultimately it was the end of 2017. I finished #1 in the world for challenged athletes, and I've repeated that again at the end of 2019. So the 2020 season, all world athlete status, feels pretty good.
So, I'm racing with Zwift, and that's an app that syncs to your trainer, and you've got different courses that you can go out and ride. Typically, they give you Watopia, which is sort of Zwift's world, and then there'll be a couple other cities throughout the week, whether it's Richmond or New York or London.
We've got the forearm pads slightly off center because of the different arm lengths that I have. We chopped this bar a little bit shorter to make sure that I had enough room.
Ulf needed a bike that would assist him with his physical challenges and put him in the best position to win. This work of art cost over $10,000. The Trek Speed concept bike was created by Dennis Sackett at Syracuse Bicycle, which was tailored for Ulf because he could end up cycling for over 5 hours at a time. Ulf has completed 7 full Ironman races at 70.3 miles each and has racked up countless medals over his 10-year journey. As he gears up in his red helmet, he's heading for Georgia to qualify for a worldwide rank. Ulf's ultimate goal is to battle against the other physical challenge athletes that he will be going against in the Olympics in Tokyo. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Robert Bruin.
Good morning. My name is Gabrielle Rouse, and I have you guys weather for today. So in Oswego County, the weather is 36 to 36 degrees. Oswego County has a lake effect warning for tonight. So Oswego, the city of Oswego, as well as Pulaski will be affected by that. In Syracuse, it is 36 degrees and raining. So right now we're experiencing heavy rain, and around noon it will lighten up a bit. This afternoon it will still be light and also get warmer with a 50% chance of rain. Heading home after work or heading home to your 5 o'clock class, it will be a high of 44, but tonight the rain will pick up with a 91%, but it won't be too cold for comfort with the temperature being 42 degrees. We'll have more on later newscasts.
Thank you, Gabby. Hopefully the rain slows down soon.
Hopefully, yeah.
But the Sports Media Center collaborates with business professionals throughout the year to bring them to speak to students and share their experiences.
Josh Fine, a producer at HBO Real Sports, spoke to students yesterday to give his career advice and offer them, any words of wisdom for them transitioning from college to the workforce. And Michelle, you had a chance to actually see him in person, right?
Yeah, it was amazing to hear him speak and all the advice he had for us. Fine told students that reporting is a skill and you can master it now, but storytelling is something that you will continue to work on throughout your career.
Storytelling, I think that's harder, and that, at least for me, that came later. I think I was pretty good as a reporter early in my career, and I think I'm still getting a lot better as a storyteller, which is, more of the art or more of the craft.
He also said to make sure to be curious as a journalist.
Another thing that's important is just not accepting the sort of conventional wisdom on things. I always find it useful.
But in his lifelong career in journalism, Fine says there is always room to grow and to flourish.
I mean, that's the glory of it in a way, is that it's something you can spend a whole career on, continuing to improve in.
The Sports Media Center puts on different events throughout the year where students can talk to business professionals and they can network, and not only students in Newhouse or the sports emphasis, anyone can go and attend these events.
Yeah, that's great that they're so open and, you know, everyone can just share in that wealth of knowledge.
Exactly. But the dining halls on campus are giving students the option to help choose what they want to see on the menu.
Our Jillian Andrews has this week's edition of Eat and Tell.
Last week was Feedback Wednesday here on campus, and Taste Encounter was set up at each of the dining halls so students could try the different options, then fill out a survey about how they liked everything. These surveys help food services decide what items to add to the menu.
Hey guys, here we are at Sadler Dining Hall with Keone for Food Services. Tell us what's going on here.
Hi, today we're having a Feedback Wednesday. We do this where vendors bring in different foods that students might enjoy, and they test it and let us know if they like it.
Okay, great. So let's see what's going on.
It's a veggie bite.
Veggie bite, here we go. Oh, they're really good.
Yeah.
These are great. You can taste the vegetable, but it doesn't taste bad. Tastes good. These are good veggies. Okay,
Good
great.
veggie. Now, do you like hot?
No, but I'll do it.
You'll do
I'll
it.
do it.
Okay.
These are hot?
Yeah, the sauce is hot. You don't have a lot, so.
Okay. I like fries, so. Yeah.
You like that?
That's good, yeah. It's subtle. It's
Good.
subtle. It's not crazy.
And then finally, the egg bite.
The egg bite, I'm just going to go ahead and take a big bite out of this.
Do
All right,
it.
All right? Okay. These
Yummy?
are really good. Yeah, this is
Okay.
great.
So what we were asking students to do is
Okay.
fill out the survey.
Okay, so you'd come out and say what you thought.
What you thought, and then comments.
We're here again at Feedback Wednesday. Now we're at Brockway Dining. Tell us what's going on here.
So this is our menu for today. These are some of the things that we're trying. The vegetable pot sticker. We're trying the Korean style quinoa and brown rice blend. A grouper tender.
We're getting fancy grouper.
And loaded baked potato pierogies.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, great. So let's try some.
Let's do it.
Okay, great. Here's your hands. Oh, look at that bacon and look at all that cheese. You see all that cheese? Oh, wow.
Eating good.
I love cheese. Ooh, it's perfect. It's perfect. You have your protein in the cheese.
Oh, you could put sour cream on it if you want. I forgot. So that's what all those extras are for.
Gotta get this out. They're good. They're really good. This one? Oh, sorry. I'm wrecking the place. This is a grouper. They're really good.
Is it?
Very good. And they're soft.
And a big thank you for Keone for showing me around the dining halls. Make sure you tune in next week for another edition of Eat and Tell.
Well, we will definitely have to go try those nachos after this. But coming up here on Mornings on the Hill, one lacrosse player's touching story about what he sees and doesn't before each game.
But first, an injury more mental than physical. I'll tell you about one lacrosse player's journey through recovery coming up next.
ACL injuries are one of the most common injuries in college athletes. And Juliana, you got to sit down with one athlete who experienced this.
Yeah, Michelle, these injuries affect around 200,000 people a year in the United States, according to the Mayo Clinic. And this week I got to look at the impact ACL tears had on one SU women's lacrosse player.
Morgan Widener and Kyla Zapolsky at the Block S for this draw control.
I was in the Carrier Dome. We were playing the University of Albany on February 22nd, 2018. It's a date I'll never forget for the rest of my life. And so I won it behind me and I was running down towards goal, and basically a girl kind of pushed me from behind, planted weird, started going, and then my leg just practically gave out.
Morgan Widener goes flying. She's holding her right knee. This is not good for Syracuse. The second injury so far, and she is screaming in pain.
I heard 2 large pops and then felt like a shotgun had gone off in my knee.
The right knee that just took an awkward turn.
And all I remember from that moment was I was screaming really, really loud. I kind of blacked out for a second, and the next thing I knew, I had my head coach behind me and 2 of my trainers trying to help me off the field.
Season last year, it was Widener who took all of the draws, and now it's kind of shifting, and good to see her up and at him right now.
In the ACL, the anterior cruciate ligament, it's either from stepping or from a collision and either pivot or shift, and the ligament tears either in half or a piece comes off of the femur or the tibia.
Widener is out. Gotta hope it's a speedy recovery and she can come back and help this team down the stretch.
It's usually 9 months to a year, and if you're a female, they usually try to push it longer, close to a year, because you need to have everything as strong and stable as possible before returning back to athletics. You want to do prehab and get you back to a certain level as much as you can functioning going into surgery so that when you come out, you're good.
I always say tearing your ACL is 80% mental, 20% physical. It's obviously an insane amount of pain that you have to go through throughout the rehab process before surgery, then rehabbing for almost around a year after. It's something that's so mentally debilitating, and it kind of really breaks you down as a person that you have to be extremely mentally strong to get through it.
Widener is back on the field for the Orange this season and says that the mental battle of overcoming this injury has given her a greater respect for the sport and has helped her perform better on the field. And while women's lacrosse players go through their own injury battles, a men's lacrosse player went through a different battle of his own.
Our Cole Johnson is here to tell us the story of one Syracuse athlete who grew up with one missing piece to his life.
That's right, Michelle. There are some things that people take for granted. For Jacob Fopp of the Syracuse men's lacrosse team, he's taken one big misfortune and turned it into a whole lot of positive. Most importantly, a relationship with a very special someone.
And Syracuse appears to have won the first face-off of 2019.
At the X is where Jacob Fopp has made a living. Year 3 of being a face-off specialist.
I never in a million years thought I was going to play lacrosse in college. Lacrosse was like a sport that I just played, because it was fun to me. I really enjoyed it. It was relaxing. I didn't even face off till freshman year of high school.
But before each face-off, he scans the crowd. A reminder of the journey he's taken. One that isn't picture perfect.
Usually, all the kids had their fathers in their corner. Like, I'd have one of my friend's fathers come up and say, "Oh, do you want me to coach?" And what went through my mind was "Oh, I'm not normal." You would have parent-teacher conferences, and you'd have the father and the mother come in, and it was just my mom.
In his bio, just 3 words tell the story.
I would make up lies in school and say, my dad took me out to breakfast, or my dad went to he took me here and there, when I never met my dad in my whole life.
Fopp's father left before he could ever meet him. The only glimpse of a father was a few phone calls and some pictures.
And elementary school was the toughest part, because you would see everybody with their dads, and that's when we started to see a therapist, having coping mechanisms to help.
At a 3rd grade open house, Jake's mother Beth opened his desk where he made a chart. Things that might happen, things that will happen, and things that will never happen. One thing on the paper stood out. It read, "I will never see my dad."
I believe I went out of the room and cried it was a very difficult time for me. It was heartbreaking.
But then Jacob found lacrosse.
He struggled behaviorally because of the ADHD in school. I always kept and held sports over his head.
The only thing more important than the outcome on the field was the one person off of it.
There's no way I would be here without my mom. No doubt about it. She's the reason why I'm successful to this day, I think. I couldn't play a game if I couldn't see my mom, or just like knowing my mom's in the stands and like looking at her before every single face-off is like a safety blanket to me.
An unbreakable bond between a mother and her son.
I am extremely proud. He has come a long way. He has beaten the odds educationally. He has beaten the odds in all ways.
I don't have a father, but I have a great mother raising me, and this is sick, and I'm gonna love it, and we're gonna have a great life together.
Fop's mother, Beth, has still only missed one of his collegiate games, and she's watched Jacob grow right in front of her eyes. 3 games into his junior season, Fop ranks 2nd nationally in face-off win percentage. His .765 win percentage is just 2nd to Notre Dame's Charles Leonard. The 3-0 Syracuse men face off again on Friday in the Dome versus Hobart, but they're not the only nationally ranked team at Syracuse. The women's lacrosse team, ranked 4th in the nation, took their 4-1 record into Monday in a matchup with the Colgate Red Raiders. 11 different players would reach the score sheet. Megan Carney leading the way with 4 goals. Sam Swart and Emily Harrischuk each adding a hat trick as well, being the leading goal getter in the entire nation with 30 goals through 6 games. Megan Carney tied for 8th in the nation with 17 goals so far in her sophomore campaign. The Orange would take this one in dominating fashion, winning 21-6 over their in-state opponent. They improved to 5-1 and take their nationally leading offense and goals scored into a meeting with the Maryland Terrapins on Friday in the Dome. From one team at Syracuse who's smooth sailing right now to a team that has their backs against the wall. A lot of pressure on the men's basketball team to basically win out in order to go dancing. Tonight, the Orange travel to Pittsburgh as they try to continue their success against the Panthers. They have won each of the last 6 meetings with their former Big East rival. The Orange won the first meeting back on January 25th. Buddy Boeheim led the way with 21 points, knocking down 4 triples. Boeheim and Elijah Hughes walk into the Peterson Event Center as one of the top 3-point duos in the nation, combining for 154 threes on the year. You can catch that action at 7 o'clock tonight on ACC Network.
Still to come here on Mornings on the Hill. Lots to do this weekend, including saying goodbye to a very special someone.
All that and more coming up next. Do not go anywhere.
I'm Gabrielle Rouse, and I'm back with your weather forecast. Now today, you should grab your raincoats and rain shoes because today we have a 70% chance of rain. Tomorrow we won't be on a lake effect warning like Oswego County, but we will have a 60% chance of a few snow showers with a high of 34. Those showers will continue on to Friday and Saturday with 40% of snow, the temperature ranging in the 20s from 27 to 21. Not too bad for the last days of February, but it will be a colder since we don't have as much snow. No chances of snow, but make sure you have your jackets handy for Sunday Fun Day. That's all for my weather for today.
Looking for some fun this weekend? Here's just a few things that you can do on campus. Okay, well, tomorrow, a chili cook-off on campus will crown a winner. 15 different recipes submitted by students, faculty, staff, and alumni will be available to taste. The contest begins at 11 a.m. at the patio at HBC. Later that night, students a cappella groups will perform in the Shine Student Center starting at 8 p.m. Maybe you could go get your chili and then head over there for some entertainment.
And then a busy Friday for sports kicks off at 2:30 with the tennis team taking on Notre Dame from Drumlins. Women's lacrosse faces off against Maryland at 3. Come out to celebrate all those seniors after the women's game. Men's lacrosse plays at Hobart in the Dome at 7 p.m. Also at 7, the hockey team celebrates their seniors with a match against Robert Morris. Those in attendance will also receive signed posters of the players. Students can express their artistic talents at the paint night in the Goldstein Auditorium. Tickets are available on My Tickets portal of the box office .syr.edu. Tickets get students their own canvas, paints, and brushes. The art begins at 7 p.m. Orange After Dark is sticking to their namesake with glow-in-the-dark ice skating. Wow, we might have to go to that in Tentney Ice Rink on South Campus. Skate rentals are free, and students will also receive glow-in-the-dark goodies as well as snacks and beverages. The fun begins at 9:30 p.m. and don't forget your SUID or you might have a little bit of trouble getting in.
Saturday begins with a 3-on-3 basketball tournament in celebration of Black History Month. Kicks off at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Registration is open to any SU students on IM Leagues. Those who missed Friday night's hockey game against Robert Morris can see the two teams play at 3 p.m. They will again honor the seniors and give away signed posters. The men's basketball team wraps up the regular season against North Carolina at 4 p.m. Syracuse basketball great John Wallace will also have his 44 jersey retired at halftime. The team will also honor grad guard Sean Belby and the team managers, cheerleaders, and the dance team members for senior night for some water fun in the winter. Wow, water fun in the winter. Who even knew that was a thing? Exactly. Students can head to Greek Peak at 5 p.m. on Saturday. The indoor water park is home to a 3-story water slide as well as indoor and outdoor hot tubs and a heated pool inside. Registration includes park access and transportation. Those with a trivia itch can prove their brains at Goldstein Auditorium for Orange After Dark's Trivia Night. Teams up to 6 people can compete for prizes starting at 10 p.m. That sounds interesting,
wow, lots to go on campus. And tennis serves up a match with the Louisville Cardinals to start your Sunday off at 11 a.m. Women's basketball wraps up your Orange sports for their weekend and their season finale against Boston College in the Dome at 4 p.m. The team will also honor senior guard Gabrielle Cooper and grad students Elamy Colme, Brooke Alexander, and Whisper Fisher. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I could always use more clothes, and I have a problem with it. But JCPenney's is hosting a suit-up event beginning at 6 p.m. and students bring their IDs. They can save up to 60% on professional attire. So if you're going, just make sure to show your ID at the check-in at the men's department. But that's always great, you know, for an interview or a career fair, and especially at a cheap price, because we all know we're very broke as college students.
Yeah, I feel like that is just like a really great opportunity to offer to students, just because, you know, especially for us grad students and seniors, we're nearing the time where we're going to be going for job interviews, and you always want to look sharp, you got to dress the part. So, but yeah, thank you for joining us for today for Mornings on the Hill. I'm Juliana Durzo.
I'm Michelle Knezvik. Make sure to follow our social media and tune in next Wednesday.